God Nagas, Kindras, and the guardian of the eight waters flocked to the Chitrakuta on that occasion. Sri Rama made obeisance to them all, and the gods were glad to obtain the reward of their eyes. Raining flowers, the heavenly host exclaimed, Lord, we feel secure today. With great supplication, they described their terrible woes and returned joyfully to their several abodes. Hermits streamed in as they heard the news that the Sri Rama, the delighter of the Raghu, had taken up his abode in the Chitrakuta. The moon of the solar rays fell protest when he saw the holy company coming with a cheerful countenance. The hermit pressed Sri Rama, the chief of Raghurai, to their bosom and invoked their blessings on him, just in order to see them come true. As they gazed on the beauty of Sita, Lakshmana, and Rama, they accounted all and their spiritual practices fully rewarded. After paying them due honors, the Lord dismissed the holy throngs, and then they practiced yoga, contemplation, japa, muttering of prayers and austerities, and performed sacrifices unmolested in their own retreats. When the Kolas and Bhilas got this news, they felt as delighted as though the nine heavenly treasures of the Kubera had found their way to their own house. With copes of leaves full of bulbs, roots, and fruits, they sailed forth as paupers to gather gold as spoils. Such of them as had already seen the two brothers were cautious about them by others who proceeded along the same road, describing and hearing of Sri Rama's beauty. They all came and beheld the Lord of Raghu. Placing their offering before the Lord, they greeted him and regarded him with deep affection. They stood here and there as so many painted figures, thrilling all over and with tears streaming from their eyes. Sri Rama perceived that they were all overwhelmed with emotions and addressing kind words to them, treated them all with honors, while they in their turn greeted the Lord again and again, and with joint promise spoke to him in polite terms. Having seen your feet, O Lord, we all feel secure now. Our good luck is responsible for your visit to this place, O Lord of Ayodhya. Blessed is the land, forest, path, and hills where you have planted your food. My Lord, fortunate are the birds and the beasts of the forest whose life has been crowned by your sights. And lucky are we all along with our family in that we have been able to feast our eyes to your beauty. You have chosen an excellent spot whereon to take up your abode. You will be comfortable here during all the seasons. We will render all sort of services to you, keeping away elephants and lions, serpents and tigers. The dreary forest, hills, caves, and ravines have all been explored by us foot by foot. O Lord, we will take you for hunting to the different haunts of the games and will show you lakes and springs and other reservoirs of the water. We and our people are your servants, therefore do not hesitate to command us, O Lord. The same gracious Lord whom Vedic text faith describes and the mind of hermit cannot reach, listen to the words of the Bhilas, even as a father listens to the words of his children. Love alone attracts Sri Rama. Let those who are curious take notes of it. Sri Rama that gratifies all the foresters by addressing to them gentle words written by love. Dismissed by him, they bowed their head to him and departed. And discussing the virtues of the Lord, they returned to their respective homes. In this way, Sita and the two brothers lived in the forest, delighting the gods and the hermits. Even since the Lord of Raghu came and took up his abode, there is forest become a fountain of blessings. Trees of the various kinds blossoms and the bold fruits and the lovely creepers that quiet about them formed an excellent canopy. They were all naturally beautiful like the trees of the heaven. It seemed as if the latter had abandoned the celestial groves and migrated to the spot. A string of bees made an exceedingly sweet humming sounds and a delightful breeze breathed soft, cool and fragrant. The blue jay, cuckoo, parrot, chatkas, chakravakas, chakoras, and other birds lighted the ears and revised the soul with their varied notes. Elephants, lions, monkey, boars, and deers all sported together, free from enmity. Here, the deer were enraptured when they beheld the beauty of Sri Rama roaming about in the search of the prey. All the forests of God existing in the universe were filled with envy at the sight of Sri Rama's followers. The heavenly river Ganga, Saraswati, the sun-born Yamuna, Narmada, the daughter of the Mount Maithala, the blessed Godavari, and the various other lakes, seas, streams, and rivers all extolled the Mandakini. The eastern and western hills from and behind which the sun is believed to emerge and disappears every morning and evening. Mount Kailasha, the abode of the Lord Shiva, Mandara Meru, all abode of gods and mountains like the Himalaya, all sing praises of the Chitrakuta. Glad was the deities residing over the Vindhya range, whose delight was more than his heart could contain. To think that he had won such great renown without much exertion. Blessed and full of merits, all the birds and the deer, keepers, trees, and the various species of the herbage of the Kshetrakuta, so declare the gods day and night. Having beheld the chief of Ragulines, those who had eyes attained the eyes end of their life and were rid of the soul, while inanimate objects rejoice at the touch of the very dust of his feet and become eligible to attaining the highest state blessings is the forest regions where the ocean of the Shirama took up his abode were naturally lovely, auspicious, and holiest of the holy. How could it is possible to glorify the exquisite beauty of the forest where Sita, Lakshmana, and Rama came and settled, taking leaves of the ocean of milk and bidding adieu to Ayodhya, not be described even by the 100,000 sheshas, each with the thousand pairs of the tongues. How then can I describe it? And some length and more than a tortoise living in a puddle can lift Mount Mandara. Lakshmana waited upon Sri Ramas in thoughts, words, and deed with an amiability and devotion more than one could tell. Chitrakuta, gazing on the feet of my gazing on the feet of the Sita, of every movement and conscious of their love. Or to him, Lakshmana never recalled even in a dream his younger brother Shatrugana, father, mother, or even his home. In Sri Rama's company, Sita lived a happy life, forgetting her town, Ayodhya, family, and home. Uh, Ever watching the moonlight face of her beloved lord, she was extremely glad, like the young of the chakura birds, finding her lord's affection grow from day to day. She remained happy as a chakravaka bird during the day. Her mind was so enormous of the Sri Rama's feet that the forest appears to her as a dear as a thousand Ayodhya. Dear was the hut of the leaves in the company of her most beloved lord, while fawn and the birds constitutes her beloved family. The holy hermits appeared to her as her own father-in-law and their spouse of her mother-in-law, while her diet consisting of bulbs, roots, and fruits tasted like ambrosia. Shared with her spouse, even the lovely litter of leaves delighted her as a hundred of a cupid's own beds. Can the charms of the senses enjoyment even enchant her? So whom every very look confers the sovereignty of a sphere. Confers the sovereignty of the spheres. Sovereignty means supreme power or authority is called the sovereignty. Supreme power or authority is called the sovereignty. Supreme power or authority is called the sovereignty. Fixing their thought on Sri Rama, his devotees spends the pleasure of the sunset, but no more than peace of the sight. It is no wonder that in the case of Sita, Sri Rama's beloved consort and the mother of the universe. The Lord of Raghu would do and say only that which would please Sita and the Lakshmana. He would narrate old legends and the stories to which Lakshmana and Sita would listen with great delight. Every time Sri Rama thought of the Ayodhya, his eyes filled with the tears. The gracious Lord becomes sad when he recalled his father and mother, his family and the brothers, and particularly the affection, humility, and devotion of the Bharata. But he recovered himself when he realized that the time was unpropitious. Perceiving his Sita, Lakshmana felt distress even as the shadow of the man behaved just like him. When he saw the condition of his beloved consort and his brother Lakshmana, the self-possessed and the compassionate Rama, the lighter of Raghu, and the suitor of his devotees' heart began to narrate some Sakar's region, sharing with Lakshmana and the Sita felt relieved. Accompanied by Lakshmana and the Sita, Sri Rama shone in his hut of leaves, even as Agra, who dwells in the Amravati with his spouse Sachi and his sons Jayanta. The Lord looked after Sita and Lakshmana in the same way as the eyelid protects the eyeball, while Lakshmana in his turn waited upon Sita and Sri Rama, the hero of Raghunath, just as a fool who identified himself with the body, tend his own body in this way. The Lord who was friendly to the birds and the fawn as a god and ascetics lived happily in the forest. Thus have I told the delightful story of Sri Rama's journey to the woods. Now Sumantra reached Ayodhya. When the Dishada chief returned after escorting the Lord, he saw the minister Sumantra with his chariot. The minister was distressed to see the Nishada. She but failed to describe the agony which she felt in that moment. Crying of Rama, Rama, Sita, Lakshmana, he, Sumatra dropped on the ground, utterly helpless, with the horse kept looking on the south and saying they were restless as birds shorn of their wings. They would neither eat grass nor drink water, while their eyes kept shedding tears. The whole party of Nishada was distressed to see the horse of the ShriRam, the chief of Rahuline. Then recovering himself, the Nishada said, Sumantra, cease sorrowing now. You are a man of the wisdom and knower of the highest good. Therefore, compose yourself, realizing that fate is unpropitious you. Narrating various regions in the soft ascent, he took him by the force and seated him in the carriage, but overpowered by grief, he could not drive the carriage. The agony of separation from Rama, the chief of Ragline, was seared in his heart. The horse would not move along the road. They were getting fidgetly. It seems as they were getting fidgetly. It seems as the wild animal has been caught and put in harness. The fidget, restless and uneasy, fidgetly. Restless and uneasy, Scarda fidgetly. Restless and uneasy, Scarda fidgetly. A set of sharp and fitting by which the horse is draught animal fastens the cart plug for harshness. They would topple down in turns, look behind, torn away from the Rama and smarting with deep anguish in everyone mentions the name of Rama, Lakshmana, or Sita. In Ka's order, they would start neighing and regard him with love. How could anyone describe the anguish or separations of the horse where they were restless as the snake robbed of its gem? Shah was overcome with grief as he beheld the ministers and his horse. He then called four trusted grooms and sent them with the carriage Sumantra. Seeing of the carried Guha returns, the agony of the separation was too deep for words, and the Nishada drove of the youth plunged in sorrow every moment. Agitated, stricken with grief, Subhadra Ramat accused his life without the hero of Agnes. This rash body will not survive in the long run. But what a pity it did not earn fame by the persisting at the same time of the parting from the hero of Agnes. This life has become a sink of the infamy and the sin. I wonder what prevented it from the departing. As this wild soul has used this chance. Oh, that my heart does not break into its twain even now. Wrinkling his hands and the beating his head, he ruled in the lot like a miser who has lost his heart of the riches. It seems as if after assuming the role and posing as an eminent hero, a great warrior had taken to flight. The minister gave himself of the grief like a discreet Brahmins of the noble descent, whose role was in the Vedas and esteemed by the virtuous has been diluted into drinking. The minister felt in his heart agony as terrible as the virtuous and discreet lady of the high birth who is devoted to her lord in thoughts, words, and deed, and who is compelled by the evil destiny to live apart from her husband. His eyes were full of tears and lacking in vision. His ears reached and his mind was agitated and confused. Nay, his lips were getting dry and the tongue had clavered to the palate. Yet his life breath did not depart, the term of the exile serving as a door to prevent its departure from his heart. He had turned pale and repeated the sight as if he had murdered his own father and the mother. Great was the despondency which preyed upon his mind as a result of the loss he has just suffered. He looked like a sinner mourning while on his way to the abode of the dead. Words failed him and he lamented within himself, what shall I see on reaching Ayodhya? Whosoever shall find the carriage devoid of the Rama will shun my sight. When the agitated citizen run to make inquiry of me, I shall answer them all with the heavy loads on my heart. When all the helpless and the afflicted mother cautions me, good fathers, what shall I say to them? When Lakshmana's mother Sundara put cautions to me, what glad tidings shall I convey to her? And when Rama's mother Kaushalya comes running like a cow that has recently born a calf and has been thought fixed on it, the only answer I can make to her queries with the Rama Lakshmana Sita Viraj also has left for the woods. Whosoever cautioned me must be answered. This is the treat I shall have, and on reaching Ayodhya, again when the king who is oppressed by the grief and whose life hung on the Rama put questions to me, with what face shall I tell him in reply that having safely escorted the prince I have come back. The moment he hears the news of the Lakshmana, Sita and Rama, the king will drop his body like a piece of straw. The swampy ground of my heart, like a swamoy ground, did not crack even though the moisture in the shape of my most beloved Rama has left. From this I concluded this in this very frame. God has endowed me with the body fit for suffering the torture of the hell. While Sumantra was thus lamenting on the way, his carriage presently reached the bank of the Tamsa river. He politely dismissed the Nishada who fell at his feet and returned with the heart stricken with grief. The minister politely dismissed the minister hesitated to enter the city as if he had murdered his own preceptor, killed a Brahman, or butchered a cow. He passed the days, muttered Sota, killed a Brahman and butchered a cow. He passed the day sitting under a tree and found his opportunity only when it was dusk. He entered Ayodhya in the dark and slunk into the palace, leaving the carrot on the gate. All who heard the news rose to the entrance of the royal place to see the carrot. When they recognized the carrot and found the horse restless with his body wasting as we held in the sun, the citizens of both men were so distressed as fish and the water runs short. The moment they heard of the minister's arrival for the whole Gynecum was restless to him. The palace looked as dreary as though it were a abode of the spirit. A deep agony, all the queens questioned him, but no reply came from him. His voice failed him, his ears could not hear, nor could his eyes see. He asked whatever whomsoever he met, "Tell me where is the king?" Seeing the confusion, the maid servant conducted his to the Kaushalya's apartment. Arriving there, Sumatra found the king as pale and the lustreless as a moon without nectar. Without a seat, couch, or ornaments, he lay on the ground in the most wretched conditions, having his sight has vibrated even a Yati when he had fallen from the abode of God. With his heart bursting with grief every moment, he looked like somebody who had dropped from the heaven on account of his wings having been signs. That great lover of the Rama cried, Rama, Rama, and again Rama, Lakshmana, and Sita. The minister, on seeing the king, exclaimed salutatory words, Jaya Jiva, and made obeisance to him by falling protest on the ground. The moment he heard this, the king rose in bewilderment and said, Tell me, Sumantra, where is Rama? The king pressed Sumatra to his bosom as if a rowing man had let down the some support, seating him affectionately by his sides, and with the eyes full of tears, the king asked him, Appraise me the Rama's welfare, loving friend. Where are the Rama, the Lord of the Raghu Lakshmana and Vidya's daughter Sita? Have you brought them back or have they left for the woods? At these words, she had rushed to the minister's eyes. Overwhelmed with grief, the king asked again, Tell me the news about Sri Rama and the Lakshmana. Sita, Rama, and the Lakshmana. Recalling again and again Sri Rama's beauty, virtue, amiability, and the temperament, the king sorrowed within himself, proclaiming by intention to install him as a regent. I exiled him, but the news neither delighted his soul nor grieved it. But my life did not depart, even though I had the part from such a son who can be such a great sinner as I. Take me, my friend, to the palace where Rama, Sita, and Lakshmana are. If not, I sincerely tell you, my life is going to depart very soon. Again and again, the king asked the minister, Communicate to me the news of my most beloved sons. Quickly contrive, my friend, some means whereby you may be able to bring before my eyes Rama Lakshmana Sita. Recovering himself, the minister gently replied, Your Majesty is learned and wise. Nay, you are the leader of the brave and the courageous. The courageous may Lord and have always attended assemblies of the holy men, birth and death, all painful and the pleasurable experiences, loss and gain, union with and the separation from the friends, all these, my Lord, take place under the unalterable laws of the times and the destiny, like the succession of the night and day, who rejoice in prosperity and mourn in the adversity, while the wise account both alike. Therefore, exercising your mature judgment, take up courage and cease sorrowing, O friend of all. Their first halt was made by the side of the Tamsa and the next on the bank of the Kaleshri of Ganga. Having bathed and drunk water, Sita and the two brothers remained without food that day. The Shaka showed great hospitality and party sent to the night in the village of the Shangavarapura. At daybreak, Shangavirapura. At daybreak, they sent to the milk the banyan tree, and the two brothers coiled up his matted hair in the shape of the crown. Then Rama friends Goha called for a boat, and after helping Sita to board it, Sri Rama followed suit. Lakshmana placed on it and overlie way the two brothers, do two boys in the queers, and himself boarded the boat on receiving the Lord's commands. Seeing my distress, the hero of Raghu raised summoned up courage and addressed me in the sweetest and sire. Convey my obeisance to the dear father and clasped his lotus feet again and again. Then, falling at his feet, submit to them. Father, be not worried on my account. By your grace and goodwill, and as a reward of your meritorious act, my journey to and sojourn in the wood will be happy and full of blessings. By your grace, dear Father, I shall have all sorts of the comforts on my journey, and having obeyed your command, shall come back safe to behold your lotus feet once more. Nay, consoling all my brothers, mothers fall at their feet again and again, and with profuse entities made every fort says to see that the Lord of Ayodhya may my father pass these days happily. Clasping my preceptor's lotus feet again and again, give him my message. Pray, so exhort the Lord of Ayodhya that he may no longer grieve on my account. Humbly approaching the citizens, all my people, convey to them my submission. He alone is my friend in every way, who ensures the king's happiness again. When comes, give him my message. Abandon not the path of the restitutes on assuming the office of the region. Cherish your subjects in thoughts, words, and deeds, and cherish your subjects in thoughts, words, and deeds, and serve your mothers, treating them all alike again. Brothers, vindicate your brotherliness till the last day by serving our parents and the kinsmen. And last day, not the least, look after the kings in such a way that he may never sorrow on my account. Here Lakshmana interposed some harsh word, but the Rama checked him and then entreated me, endure my by himself again and again. Make no mention, dear father, of Lakshmana's childishness. Sending her greeting, Sita opened her lips to say something but was overwhelmed with emotion. Her voice failed, her eyes filled with tears, and still rained through her body. At the moment, in response to hint from the chief of the Raghu, the boatsman propelled the boat towards the opposite bank. So departed the crowns of the Raghuris, while I stood looking on with a heavy load on my heart. How am I to disguise my own anguish in that I came back alive bearing Rama's message? At this stage, Sumantra's speech failed him. Overpowered as he was by the grief and remorse due to the separation from Sita, Sri Rama, no sooner had he heard the carrot speech than the king dropped to the ground, his heart burning with deep anguish. His mind being unhinged by the excessive infatuations, he tossed about like a fish that had been inebriated by sucking the form of the early rainwater, which is intoxicated to the fish. All the queens waited and wept. How can their great misfortune be described at the sound of their wail? Sorrow itself was sorrowful, and endurance could not be longer endured. There was a great torment and the sound of outrage in the royal gynaecum. It seemed as if the cruel thunderbolt had fallen at the night and the large habitants of the birds. The live breath of the king had now stuck in his throat. He felt uneasy like a serpent robbed of its chains. All his senses were blighted as a cluster of the lotuses in lake that had been left without water. When Kaushalya saw the king whitened and the blasted, she concluded in her mind that the sun of the solar rays was about to set. Summoning up courage, therefore, Sri Rama's mother spoke words appropriate to the occasion. Ponder in your heart, my lord, and reflect that separation from the Rama is a vast ocean. You are the elsewhere. The bar which has been boarded by our near and the dear ones as his passenger. We can hope to reach the shore only if you have patience. If not, the whole family will be drowned. If you take to the heart this entity of mine, my beloved Lord, we are sure to see Rama, Lakshmana, and Sita again. Hearing those soft words to his beloved queens, the king opened his eyes and looked up like a writhing rash fish that had been sprinkled with cold water. Recovering himself, the king got up and sat down. Tell me, Sumantra, where is my gracious Rama? Where is the Lakshman? Where is my loving Rama? Where is my beloved daughter-in-law Dehi? The restless monarch, weird in many ways, the night seemed to him like a rage, and he felt as though it would never end. He was remained to the blind hermit curse as he narrated the whole story to Kaushalya. He was filled with agony as he related the circumstances. Why, on the hope of the surviving without Rama, what shall I gain? By perversing this body which was failed to keep my vow of love. O delighter of the Raghu, who are dear to me as life, already I have lived too long without you. Are Janka's daughter and Lakshmana, chief of the Raghulai, who gladdened the loving heart of your father as a rain cloud delighted the Chakura birds. Crying Rama, Rama, and again Rama, and yet again Rama, 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 the king cast off his body in his agony of the separation from the chief of Raghulai and ascended to the abode of gods. It was King Dashatha who reaped the reward both of his life and death. His untarnished fame spread through a number of universes. As long as he lived, he gazed on the Sri Rama's moonlight countenance and brought glory to his death by making the separation from the Sri Rama his excuse for it. Stricken with grief, all the queens wept and praises his comeliness of form, amiable manners, bodily might, and the majesty. They emanated in variety of ways, throwing themselves upon the ground again and again, maid servants and maid servants alike wait in anguish. There was a weeping in every house throughout the city. Today, as said, the son of the solar rays, the perfection of brightness, the repulsion of beauty and the virtue. Everyone abused Kake, who had robbed the world of its very eyes in this way. They waited till the close of the night, when all the great and the enlightened hermits arrived. Then the same Vashishta narrated a number of legends befitting the occasions and dispersed the gloom that hung over that all by the light of the wisdom. The same caused a boat to be filled with oil and had the king's body placed in it. The guard again decomposition. He then summoned envoys and spoke to them thus: run quickly and guard the Bharata, but break not the news about the king to anyone at any place. Approaching Bharata, tell him only this much: the preceptor has sent for you two brothers. Hearing the sage orders, the couriers rush along with a speed that would put excellency to shame. Even since things began to take a vicious turn, the Ayodhya evil omen occurred before Bharata. He saw fearful dreams at nights around working in the girls in all sorts of unpleasant speculations. He would perform Shri Ramayana, Shri Ramayana, Shri Ramayana, Shri Ramayana, Shri Ramayana, Shri Ramayana, Shri Ramayana. He performed consecrations, orders over Bhagwan Shiva in various ways and invoking the great Lord in his heart, begged back to him the welfare of his parents, family, and the half brothers. While Bharata was thus passing an anxious times, the courier arrived and hearing the Guru's commands, he proceeded with an invocation to the Lord Ganesha. Urging the horse to run as fast as the wind, he went on his journey, crossing difficult streams and forests. There was such a great anxiety in his heart that nothing would please him. He thought to himself, would that I could fly home. Every moment hung heavy like an ear. In this way, the Bharata drew near to the city. Evil omens occurred to him as he entered the city. Crowds formed in a ominous way and undesirable places. Anki and Jekal gave a cry that foreboded evils and which pierced Bhartas to the heart as he listened to it. Lake and silver groves in the gardens had lost their charms, while the city wore a particularly dismal look. Birds and the fawns, horses and the elephants were too rash to look at. Undone by the fell disease of the separation from the Rama, the people of the city, both men and women, were extremely miserable, as so all of them had lost everything they had in their possession. The Caesar made him, but spoke not a word. They made obeisance and quietly passed on. Bharata too could not inquire after their welfare, his mind being obsessed with fear and grief. The bazaars and the streets repealed the sight as though a wild conflagration had broken out of the city on all sides. Kekai, who was to the solar rays what the moon is to the lotus, was rejoiced to her son's approach. Preparing lights for waving round his head, he sprang up and ran glad at heart, and meeting him at the very door, conducted him into her apartment. Bharata saw with wonder that while the household wore a wretched appearance like a bed of lotuses blasted by frost, Keke was as happy as a Bila woman who has set a whole forest ablaze. Seeing her son married, surely and depressed in spirit, he displeased and she asked him, is all well in my mother's house? Bharta assured her the very everything was well and inquired after the health and welfare of his own family. Tell me, where is my father, where are my mothers, and where is the Sita and my beloved brother Sri Rama and the Lakshmana? For hearing her son's affectionate words, the sinful woman brought crocodile tears in her eyes and spoke words that pierced the heart and soul as so many shafts. I have accomplished everything for you, my son, and poor mantra has been of great help to me. Only God has merited our plan as little before they could be completed. The king has departed to the Indra's paradise. As soon as he heard this, Bhartas was overcome with grief as an elephant who is terrified as the roar of a lion. Crying, Father, Father, oh my father, he fell to the ground much agitated. I could not see before you left, nor did you, my father, and trust me to the care of Sri Rama. Then, collecting himself, he got up with some efforts and said, tell me, mother, the cause of my father's distress. Hearing the words of her son, he replied as one who had cut a vital part as inserted question into it. With a glad heart, the poor and the weak woman recounted from the very beginning all that she had done. Hearing of the Sri Rama exiled to the forest, Bharata forgot his father's death and realizing in his heart that he was the root of remain mute and stupid. If he remained mute and stupid, root of it, if he remained mute and stupefied. Observing the son distress, he comforted him like one who applied salt to a burn. The king, my son, is not fit for lamination. He not only reaped a rich harvest of the merits and renown, but enjoyed life also. During his lifetime, he obtained all the rewards of the human existence. In the end, ascends to the abode of Indra and Lord of immortals. Wandering thus, ceased sorrowing and ruled the kingdom with all its limbs such as the army, the exchequers, the ministers, and so on. The prince was utterly dismissed to hear these words, and through a feasting soul had been touched by life cold. Recovering himself, he had a deep sigh and said, "O good woman, you have brought complete ruin to our family. If you bore such deep merit, why did you not kill me as soon as I was born? Cutting down the tree, you have watered a leaf, and you have drained the pond for keeping the fish alive, claiming my descent from the sun god with King Dasharatha for my father and Rama and Lakshmana for my brother. I have had your mother for my mother. I had you mother for my mother. One is powerless against providence. The moment of malicious moment you contrive the evil design in your mind. In your mind, how is it your heart did not break into the pieces? While asking for the moon, did not your conscience cleanse you? Your tongue did faster, not did your mouth become free of maggot. How did the king trust you? Surely God must have robbed him on his sense of the eve of his death. Even the Creator has not been able to know the working of the woman's heart, the repository of all deceit, sin, and vice, simple and mere pious as the king was. How could he now know the nature of the woman, while living creature is there in the world to whom the Lord of Love is not here as life itself? Yet even the Rama approached to you as a great enemy. Tell me the truth, therefore. To what species do you belong? Whatever you may be, you had better bed up your face with ink and leaving my presence, remove the some place out of my sight. The God had created me out of bone, Keke hostile to Rama, who is there so sinful as myself. In vain, therefore, do I taunt you. When Shatrugna heard the mother Kakai's weakness, that he burned all over with rage, but there was no help. That very moment came the humpback Manthra, clad in the variety of rich costumes and abundant with virtuous ornaments. The very sight of that woman filled Lakshmana's younger brother with anger, as though clarified butter had been poured into the fire. Springing forward, he kicked her with such CDM at the hump that she fell flat on her face and screamed aloud. Her hump was smashed, her head split, and her teeth broken, and her mouth emitted blood. Oh my God, what harms have I done? Surely this is an ill recompense of my service. Hearing this and seeing her wild from head to foot, Shatrugna, the slayer of four, seized her by the hair on her head and began to drag her till the merciful Bharata refused her. Her two brothers inquired on the mother Kaushalya. In sordid attire, pale, agitated, and uproarious with hope, and with a wasted frame, she looked like a lovely celestial keeper of gold, blasted by frost in the forest. When Mother Kaushalya saw Bharata, she sprang up and ran to meet him, but she fell giddy and dropped unconscious on the ground. Bharata was deeply moved to see her plight and threw himself at her feet, forgetting the condition of his own body. Mother, show me my fathers. Where is Sita and the two brothers Sri Rama and Lakshmana? Why was Kake born into the world at all? And if born, why did she not remain barren instead of bearing me a blot on my family, a very sink of infamy and an enemy of near and dear ones, who in this three spheres is so wretched as I, on whose account, mother, you have been reduced to such a plight. My father is in heaven and Sri Rama, the chief of Raghunayan in the woods. It is I who, like a shooting star, am responsible for the whole trouble. Woe be to me, who have proved to be for my family a very fire among the bamboo and victim of terrible agony, suffering and cansure. On hearing Bharta's tender words, Kaushalya rose with her renewed efforts and lifting him, clasped him to her bosom, while tears streamed from her eyes. Clueless by nature, Mother Kaushalya pressed into her bosom with utmost affection as though Sri Rama himself had come back. She then embraced Lakshmana's younger brother Shatrugna. Her heart was too full of with grief and love. Everyone who saw her loving disposition said Sri Ramayana, Sri Ramayana, Sri Ramayana, Sri Ramayana. Rama mother that she is no wonder that she should be so loving. The mother seated Bharata in her lap and wiping away his tears, spoke to him in soothing words. I adjure you, my child, to compose yourself even so now, knowing his to be an unpropitious time. Sorrow no more. Take not to the heart the loss we have sustained and feel no remorse of it. Remembering that the course of time and fate is unalterable, do not blame anyone. My son, it is Providence that has turned hostile to me in every way. Amen. He makes me survive even under such trying circumstances. Who know what may be his pleasure with regard to me even now? At his father behest, a dear child, the hero of Raghunath, discreted his ornaments and princely appearance and put on the hermit's dress, consisting of bark of trees without either sorrow or execution. With the cheerful countenance and without either joy or anger, he comforted all in every way and proceeded to the forest. Hearing the Sitas followed him and would not stay, devoted as she was to the Rama's feet. Lakshmana also, when he heard this, sprang up and accompanied them. He would not be left behind, even though the Lord of Raghu tried his best to detain him. The Lord of Raghu then bowed his head to all and departed with Sita and the younger brother Lakshmana. So Rama, Lakshmana, and Sita left for the woods, where I neither accompanied them nor sent my soul after them, leaving my bodies here. All this happens before this eye, and yet this death soul did not take leave of the body. I am not ashamed of my love. To think that the son like Rama should have a mother like me. The king knew well how to live and how to die, whereas my heart is 100 times harder than adamant. Hearing Kaushalya's word, Bharata and the whole Gynecum were in distress. The king praised him to the very abode of sorrow. Much agitated, the two brothers, Bharata and the Shatrugna, loudly lamented, and Kaushalya clasped them to her bosom. She comforted Bharata in many ways and tendered words of wisdom to him. Bharata too, in his turn, consoled all his mothers, narrating legends from the Puranas. And with the joining both his family, addressed them in ruleless, innocent, simple, and the charming words. A sin attaching to the murder of one's mother's father or son, and the act of setting fire to the compound or a village of Brahmins and those impure by slaying a woman or child and by administering poison to a friend or a monarch. All the major and minor sins of the thoughts, words, or deed that have been enumerated by that seers, let all such sins be mine. If my mother, the plot, has my concurrence. May Providence award me the fate of those who, forsaking the feet of Shri and Lord Shiva, worship fruitful ghosts. If mother, I have complicity in this plot. If mother, all this have my approval, let me share the terrible fate of those who sell the Vedas, destroys their piety, are given to backbiting and expose other sins, who are deceitful, with quarrelsome and irascible, who revile the Vedas and are hostile to the words, they who are greedy and lascivious and behave as a rapacious too, and who cast their eyes on others' wealth and others' wife. Nay, mother, if I even knew the secrets, may Lord Shiva allot me the fate of those wretches who love not the company of the virtuous, who have rejected the path leading to a good realization, who worship not Shri Hari, even though blessed with the human form, and take no delight in the glory of the Shri Hari and the Lord Shiva, who had abandoned the path of the Vedas and follow the contrary way, and who are impostors and deceive the world by assuming false appearance. Hearing Bharata's truthful utterance and the sincere words, mother of Kaushalya said, "You, my dear child, has always been beloved Rama in thoughts, words, and deed. Rama is dear to you than your own life, and likewise you are dear to the Lord of Prabhu than his own life. The moon may diffuse poison through her rays, and snow emits fires. Nay, an aquatic creature may shun water, and his spiritual enlightenment may fail to eradicate error. But in no case will you turn hostile to Rama. Those in the world who allege the plot was contrived with your convenience shall never attain happiness on salvation even and you. So saying, Mother Kaushalya clasped Bharata to her bosom. Milk began to flow from her breast, and her eyes filled with tears. In this way, they squared away the whole night, lamenting in profusion. The sage Vamadeva and the Vashishta then came and summoned all the misters and the elite of the city. Vashishta admonished Bharata in many ways, speaking to him words of wisdom appropriate to the occasion. Having courage in your heart, dear son, and do what is the occasion demand. Today, hearing Preceptor's command, Bharata rose and asked everything to the God to got ready. He had the king's body washed in accordance with the Vedic rites and the caused a most splendid funeral pyre to be prepared for it. Clasping the feet of his mothers, Bharata prevented them from ascending the funeral pyre. They all stayed behind in the hopes of seeing Sri Rama. There arrived many loads of the sandalwoods and the woes and diverse other excellent aromatic herbs of the untold varieties. The pile was raised in the artistic ways on the bank of the Sari River and looked like a lovely ladder reaching to the heaven. In this way, all the rites of the cremations were gone through, and then the funeral party bathed with due ceremony, in others a handful of water and sesame seed to the departed soul. After ascertaining the views of all the Smriti texts, the Vedas, and the Puranas, Bharata performed the ceremony of the Daskarata. Whatever order the great sage Vashishta gave on a particular point, Bharata carried out on all of them in thousands ways. He bestowed all sorts of gifts of attaining purity. He gave away cow, horses, elephant, and the conveyance of the various sorts. And even so, thrown ornaments and the costume, food, grain, lands, money and houses, and the Brahmins had all their desire fulfilled on receiving them. Whatever rites Bharata performed for the benefit of his fathers in the other words were more than 100,000 tongue could recount. Then, after determining on the auspicious date of the great sage Vashishta came and summoned all the ministers as well as the elite of the city, they all repaired to the council chamber set there. The two brothers Bharata and Shukra were also sent for. Vashishta seated Bharata by his side and spoke to him words full of wisdom and piety. First of all, the great sage repeated the whole story of Kake's willy doing and paid his tribute to the woes of piety and the truthfulness of the king Dashatha, who remained true to his love even at the cost of his life. And as the great hermit spoke to the Sri Rama's virtue, amiability, and the kind disposition, tears came to his eyes and thrill ran through his body. Again, when he extolled the affection that Lakshmana and Sita bore towards Rama, the enlightened sage was overwhelmed with grief and emotion. Listen, Bharata, formidable is the fate. The Lord of Six sorrowfully exclaimed, loss and gain, life and death, glory and infamy, all these lies in the hand of the providence. Loss and gain, life and death, glory and infamy, all these lies in the hands of the providence. Loss and gain, life and death, glory and infamy, all these hands of the providence. Arguing thus, whom should we blame and we whom should be angry without any cause? Wonder in your heart, my sons, that King Dashatha is not worth grieving for. Pitiable is the Brahman who is ignorant of the Vedas and who has abandoned his own duty and is engrossed in the pleasure of the sense. Pitiable is the king who has no knowledge of polity and who does not love his people as his own life. Pitiable is the Vaishya, the member of the trading class who is regardly through rich and who is not perfect in hospitality nor in the devotion of the Lord Shiva. Pitiable the Shudra, the member of the laboring or artisan class, who is disrespectful toward the Brahmins, curious and the proud of knowledge and love to be honored. Pitiable again is the woman who deceives her husband, crook and the quarrelsome, and follow her own will. Pitiable is the religious student who break his vows and obey not the order of his preceptor. Yet pitiable is the householder who, out of ignorance, forsake the path of duty, and pitiable is the recluse who is attached to the word and lack discretions and dissipation. Pitiable is the anchorite who has given up penis and developed a liking of the luxuries. Pitiable is the anchorite. Pitiable is the backbiter who is angry without cause and an enemy of his own parents, preceptor, and brother. Pitiable is every way in his is he who harms others, cherished his own body, and exceedingly heartless. And pitiable in every respect is he who is not sincerely devoted to Shri Hari, the Lord of Kaushala, is not worth grieving for. His glory being manifested through all the 14 spheres, there never was, nor is, nor shall be hereafter. Acknowledge like your father Bharata, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, Indra, the Lord of Celestial, and the guardian of the water, all sing praises of the king Dasharatha. Tell me, dear child, who can glorify him who begot such pious son as Rama, Lakshmana, Shatrugna, and yourself? The king was blessed in every way. It is no use mourning for him. Hearing and realizing this sorrow no more, and reverently obey the king's commands. The king has bestowed the kingship on you. It behoves you, therefore, to redeem the word of your father, who abandoned Rama for the sake of his word and quitted his body, sake of his word and quitted his body in his anguish of separation from Rama. The king did not love his own life as he did his word. Therefore, dear son, redeem your father's words, reverently obey the king's command. This will do you good in every way. Parashurama executed the command of his father and killing his own mother. The whole world will be a testimony to this facts. Yayati sons Peru exchanged his own youth for the old age of his fathers and incurred no sin or blame because he did so in obedience of his father's command. Those who cherish their father's commands, minding not whether it is reasonable or otherwise, attain happiness in fairly known and well in the word of Indra, the Lord of the immortals. Therefore, you needs must redeem the king's word, cherish your subjects, and cease to grieve. The king in heaven will derive solace, while you will earn merit and the good fame and shall incur no blame. It is well known in Vedas and has the sanction to all that the crown goes to him on whom the Father bestow it. Therefore rule the kingdom, feel no remorse, and accept my advice as salutary. Rama and Vira's daughter Sita will be gratified when they hear of it, and no wise man will call it wrong. Kaushalya and all the other mothers too will be happy in the happiness of the people. Nay, he who will know the supreme affinity between you and Rama will have perfect goodwill towards you. When Rama returns home, you may hand over the kingdom to him and serve him with ideal affection. The minister submitted with joint palm. You need must obey the order of your preceptor. When the Lord of Prabhu come back, you may do what you think fit then. Summoning courage, Kaushalya says, salutary, my law, son is your Guru's commands. The same should be respected and obeyed by you as conductive to your good. Cease to grieve, realizing the vicissitudes of the life. The Lord of Raghu is in the forest and the King in the heaven, the abode of God, while you, my son, as are thus giving away the faint hardness. You, my child, are the only support of all, including your family subjects, including your perceiving the empathy, include your family, subjects, ministers, and all your mother, perceiving this antipathy of gods and relentless of fate. I adjure you by my life to have courage, reverently obey your Guru's commands, cherish your subjects, and relieve the affection of your family. Bharata listened to the advice of his preceptor and the minister's appeal, endorsing the same, which were as soothing to his heart as sandal paste. He further heard the mother's soft word, imbued with the nectar of amiability, affection, and viewlessness. Bhatta grew restless when he heard Mother Kaushalya's speech, imbued as it were with the nectar of sincerity. His daughter's eyes shed tears that watered the fresh shoots of the desolation in his heart. All those who saw his condition at that time forgot their own existence. Everyone says Susila reverently extolled him as a perfection of artless love. Joining his lotus from Bharata, who was foremost among the strong-minded, took courage and proceeded to give befitting reply to all the words steeped as it were in the nectar. Was 18 for the 30 days recitation. Shri Ramayana, 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 Shri Ramayana. Trying to listen Rama, Shri Ramayana, Shri Ramayana, Shri Ramayana. Shri Ramayana, Shri Ramayana, Shri Ramayana, Shri Ramayana, Shri Ramayana, Shri Ramayana, Shri Ramayana. Shri Ramayana, 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 Shri Ramayana,
Om Shri Ram.